Good afternoon to everyone who's joining us just now. We're just going to hold a few minutes as people begin to enter the chat. So while you're waiting, we've got a chat window as well that you can drop your questions into. We've got a fair few booked in for today, so we'll just hold the discussions until we see everyone's generally in the room. So just sit tight with us. So just for those people entering the room, we're just waiting a few minutes for everyone to join online before we get started. So just sit tight. All right, so as we'll probably have a few more people join us online in a minute, we might get started. So for everyone that's joined in at the moment, welcome. You're talking with the Institute of Public Works Engineers Australasia and Young IPWEA, and obviously our guest speakers and panellists today. The Institute of Public Works Engineering Australasia is the leading professional industry association, joining local and state government engineers across New South Wales and Australia, with shared goals and ideals towards the betterment of communities through the work that we do. It effectively informs, connects, represents, and leads public works professionals through statewide and local workshop meetings, state and national conferences, professional training, and much more. My name is Peter Chambers, and I'll be hosting this forum on behalf of IPWEA to welcome you and encourage you to consider inviting your friends and associates to our next forum, which is being planned for March. I regularly network and connect with lots of my colleagues across local councils with shared experiences, project considerations, and initiatives to improve community development, asset management, and mutual challenges. My background for the last year is working as Chief Engineer for Muswellbrook Shire Council. I've got 19 years experience as a civil engineer, starting as a private consultant, and then as an engineering designer and drafter, stormwater engineer, and previously as engineered solutions manager for a precast concrete company that specialising in stormwater systems and engineered structures. I've also been honoured to be a guest lecturer on behalf of the Concrete Pipe Association of Australasia on 5 occasions, twice for the University of Technology Sydney and Newcastle University, and also for Transport for New South Wales, discussing precast concrete technology. I've also been a presenter for IPWEA workshops across New South Wales for training, from Dubbo and Inverell to as far south as Deniliquin and Wagga Wagga, as well as local chapter meetings. Within my background, I've had a fairly broad range of experience in the delivery of some amazing projects. I've project managed a complex 2.5 million litre precast detention system for Sydney Light Rail at Randwick. I've managed stormwater portfolios of up to 8.5 million. I've worked on riparian restoration projects here in Muswellbrook for Hunter Beach, now renamed Tarranpah, which means Red River Gum Tree Place. And through this experience, I've got a greater appreciation of the opportunities, training and networking availability within public sector engineers. We're really fortunate today to have a really passionate team within our network who's given their time to provide you context and information that'll be of benefit to you and your future career pathways as you begin to plan ahead. And we hope that you consider us in that career path as well. Local councils are our front line of the assessment, design and delivery of better communities. And collectively, there is significant demand for talented undergraduates and engineers to join us across our teams, ranging in our area from community infrastructure, works team, and even water and sewer services. Engineering is at the heart of much of the work that we do in councils, and we're involved in professional representation from early feasibility, design investigation, through to formal reporting to our councillors and communities. Local and state government provides a vast array of design opportunities from roads, drainage, water, sewer development, design, geotech, asset management, and much more. Public works engineers can get extensive training and work within their own communities as part of this career path with local and state government. So this introduction forum of public works engineering will be delivered by 3 other excellent guest speakers from the local and state government, supported by Young IP or IPWEA professionals, and Laura Curry, Executive Officer of IPWEA. Each speaker will be speaking for about 10 to 15 minutes, and at the time there'll be question and answers at the end. With the chat window that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, feel free to lodge any questions you think about during the forum. Click like on any questions from others you would like to hear about first, and we'll get to all of those questions at the end for you. So with all of that in mind, I'm very happy to introduce you to our guest speakers and panelists. First, I'll introduce them as in terms of the time in which they speak. Our first presenter is James Thompson from Eurobodalla Shire Council, who is a young professional with IPWEA. James Thompson is an early career professional with 6 years' experience. James worked for Eurobodalla Shire Council for 4 years while undertaking his Bachelor of Technology and Master of Engineering civil degree. Once James graduated, he worked back for the local Roads Research Board in Canberra for 6 months before deciding to move back to local government. James currently holds the position of Transport and Stormwater Engineer for Eurobodalla Shire Council and works across a wide range of stormwater and transport projects. James also has been involved in IPWEA since working for Council and has held the position of South East Representative, Deputy Chair and now Chair. And so with all of that in mind, I would like to happily pass you on to James to lead the next session. Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction, Peter. And I'm just going to share my screen now, and we'll get into the presentation. This loads. So yes, first of all, I'd like to welcome all students, staff and professionals here today. I hope that everyone finds value in the session. And most importantly, I hope we provide some insight into what public works engineering actually is about. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and something that I've learned myself being in public works. And I look forward to hopefully sharing some of that insight with you today. I guess the first question though is, what is public works engineering? And it can be broadly defined as the infrastructure built for people. And this can be very diverse, ranging from major dams to bridges to underground tunnels to the construction of minor footpaths on your local street. Now, one of the main benefits of working in public works as an early career professional is the diversity of work. Now, this is something that I or should I say as one of the main drivers that I applied to become a cadet asset engineer within public works. And it's that if you don't know what you want to do, or you're not specifically know that you want to specialize in a technical area of engineering, working in public works provides you with a good foundation and a diversity of work that enables you to really identify either if you'd like to stay that way or if you'd like to specialize in the future. I'm a huge advocate for public works, and increasing awareness of public works engineering is the main objective of this session. I guess first though, a bit about me. As Peter mentioned, I'm a transport and stormwater engineer for the Young Shire Council. And something that a lot of students probably aren't aware of is I completed my engineering degree at CSU. Now the reason I did this is I think they used to call it a sandwich degree, but it was a degree designed for industry with a lot of consultation with industry. And the way that worked was I had 1.5 years on campus doing full-time project-based work. And then as part of that degree, you have 4-year-long work placements whilst completing your online university by distance. Now, what I decided to do for that was to apply for a cadetship at the Young Shire Council, and I fulfilled that role for 4 years as a cadet asset engineer. I've now been in local government 5 years, and I had a 6-month stint in Canberra working for the Australian Roads Research Board while it was transitioning to the National Transport Research Organisation. I also became involved with IPWEA, and I'm currently chair of the IPWEA New South Wales Young Committee. But first of all, I guess, what is IPWEA? Well, it's a professional body like Engineers Australia, but we're a subset and we're more dedicated towards public works engineering. The committee report directly to IPWEA New South Wales Board, and sometimes we work with other Young IPWEA committees from other states and New Zealand to achieve common goals. The committee is comprised of a chair and a deputy chair, as well as representatives from each region in New South Wales. You can see from this diagram that we have coverage across most of New South Wales. However, there are a few vacancies. And if at the end of this session, you'd like to know a bit more about what the committee does and how we advocate for public works, as well as how we can develop young engineers, then feel free to reach out. Now, being part of the committee has been incredibly rewarding. It's also provided me with so many opportunities that I would never have gotten if I had not been involved. Now, before we go any further, I should also describe how I became involved with IPWEA, and specifically it was the attendance to the New South Wales State Conference in the Hunter Valley. So after getting the cadetship at council, I was fortunate enough to be offered the ability to attend the state conference within about 3 months of working. This was very interesting because when I attended there, as someone that was only a year and a half into their uni, just started my position at council, I was able to really speak and network with kind of world-leading engineers, as well as economists and risk managers. And this kind of opened my eyes to what public works can offer, and the ability of someone so new with such little experience is able to network and talk with such experienced people. And this really, as I said, opened my eyes to what public works engineering is about, and that common goal to improve society and build infrastructure for the community. And it made me extremely motivated to learn, and it's something that has stuck with me ever since. And it's the main reason that I became involved with IPWEA. And to give you an idea about the opportunities that arise from being part of an engineering community or body, such as IPWEA or Engineers Australia, several months after attending this conference, I was asked to present at the International Public Works Conference in Tasmania, and that was something that I never thought would be achievable for someone that still hadn't even graduated yet. I'd like to talk a bit about the committee though, and our main purpose is displayed on the screen for you right there. So a part of the committee made up of representatives from around New South Wales, and we have our main purpose is really to advance and advocate for the current and future IPWEA New South Wales under 35 public works professionals. And we plan to achieve this by engaging with stakeholders in order to synthesize and implement initiatives that add value to the under 35 public works community, with the primary outcome being to ensure that the committee is able to act as a conduit for young public works professionals across New South Wales to facilitate opportunities for personal and professional development. Now, this is really the core business or purpose as to why the committee exists. And as you graduate or as you become more involved in industry, you begin to understand and identify the importance of networking and how that feeds into professional development. Now, the outcome of this team purpose and being able to consolidate each of the committee members' goals and align them together was that we were able to, over the last few years, organise 5 major site tours, including looking at Batemans Bay Bridge, Now Bridge. We did some site tour at a borrowing materials testing laboratory and also had a look at a park, Shire Council plant. We've held 12 lunch and learns, which is similar to this. It's an online session where you hear presentations from public works professionals. And we've also participated in some charitable events such as the Push-Up Challenge. Another thing we've done is we've run countless workshops and sessions at the IPWEA New South Wales State Conference. And we've also had around 17 young engineers participating in an informal mentoring program that was termed the Coffee Cup Challenge. I personally did this, and I can say that a lot of experienced people you speak to, and I definitely found this during my time at the state conference initially, was a lot of prominent experienced people with industry have had mentors throughout their time, and something that if you can find an experienced person connect with, their experience and their, I guess, knowledge and knowledge transfer that they can share with you can be huge in helping identify whereabouts within industry you fit. Is it that you're going to be specialised in design of soil nails, or are you going more broad looking into project management? Having someone that can mentor is a huge benefit, and it's something that IPWEA and as part of the committee were able to facilitate. It's something very, very invaluable. Last year, we undertook a team launch. So as I became chair of the committee, we had a bit of a revision of how the committee was run, and we decided to do a team launch. And part of this session was to develop a plan. So part of this plan has been the development of 4 key project groupings: university and cadet related projects, and that's to improve our engagement with academia and advocate for public works engineering. I think I mentioned earlier, when I was in university, I never really saw public works engineering as an opportunity. I assumed that I'd be a structural engineer and go into the mines. And it wasn't until I witnessed a presentation from the Young IPWEA committee that came to my uni that I realised that maybe this is more aligned, or this is more aligned with what I'd like to do long term, or at least provide that foundational knowledge as well. We're also looking at trying to do better member engagement. That's going to be through enhanced onboarding of new members, as well as the development of a methodology to capture member needs over and above what is offered. We also have specific standalone projects, and the idea behind this was if there's particular projects or initiatives that committee members are passionate about, we can identify these and work together to try and get them up and running. At the moment, we've got a few in the background, such as trying to look at seeing if we can do a rural metro exchange between metropolitan engineers as well as rural engineers, as there's often a lot of crossover but some differences, and being able to have secondments within each of those organisations can be valuable. Lastly, we're also looking at a bit of committee improvement and progression, and that's to ensure that as a team we're always moving forwards. Lastly, I'd like to also go over engagement. So traditionally, university students haven't seen public works as a viable career. As I mentioned, I know that and I didn't. And it's part of our mission to ensure that all engineering students within New South Wales are at least aware of what public works engineering is, as well as the benefits. Hopefully at the end of this session, we have shined the light on what public works engineering is, and we'll be hoping to consolidate this with attendance to careers days, as well as organising public works orientations for prospective graduates. We had a similar orientation held at my council, where students from UTS were able to come down, and they got taken around to a $167 million dam, got to chat to the technical staff within the technical services department, had a look at the water treatment plant. And for a lot of students, especially within the kind of the Sydney or metropolitan area, having a look at these large scale rural projects was very enlightening for some of them. We got some really great feedback from that. In the next session, we're also going to witness, or should I say in the next 2 sessions, we're going to witness 2 very successful public works engineers, both working in very different organisations. I'm personally looking forward to seeing what they have to offer. Thank you for listening, and also look forward to any questions about myself or IPWEA if we have some time, or at the end we can answer your questions there. I think Peter, if you're there, it's probably might running slightly over. Might be worthwhile maybe moving on to the next presenter, and then
Thank
if there's
you very
any
much.
questions.
Thanks very much for that, James. That was really insightful. I appreciate you providing your time today for that. Our next speaker is Tom Franzen, who will be providing an overview of working in local government, an overview of different roles and responsibilities. And Tom Franzen's got 16 years experience in engineering design and graduated with a Bachelor of Engineering with first class honours at the University of Southern Queensland and was awarded the University Medal. Tom also holds a Bachelor of Business Administration and Diploma of Civil Construction Design. He was awarded the 2018 IPWEA David Abbott Young Public Works Leader of the Year Award. Tom currently holds a position of Divisional Manager of Technical Services at the Eurobodalla Shire Council. Tom leads a team of 29 staff covering design, asset surveying, infrastructure, admin support and traffic. And welcome to Tom as our next speaker. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks, James. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that now. So it's an honour to meet with you guys today and discuss some of the opportunities that we have in local government, plus some of the different career opportunities, some of the different challenges and projects that you may work on, and some of the skills I've had and career development opportunities I've had to do. So to start with, I started as a young engineer when I was 24. I'd actually finished my business administration degree, and I was in a family business at the time in real estate, and I was actually thinking, gee, I always wanted to be an engineer, but I didn't pursue that path. Is it too late for me to do that? And I thought it was. But an opportunity came up at the local council to start as a trainee designer, and I thought, why not give it a shot? And what I've learned over that time is it's never too late to make that career change if you have a passion for a certain industry, which I did for engineering, and there's always different avenues to get to where you want to do and what you want to achieve. Local government has a huge range of opportunities for young people to develop, and a wide range of work for the local community, where you can live and work in your local community and see real benefits achieved in everyday aspects that really do benefit our communities. So I started in 2008 as a trainee designer, and I started working on various different design projects. I think James is coming in. Apparently I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let me fix that up. Okay, that should be better now, hopefully. So that's right. So I started as a trainee designer and progressively worked my way up. I had some previous experience, obviously, in the business side of things, but not designing infrastructure or engineering. Local councils look after just over 75% of the road network within Australia, and that's quite extensive in world standards. And people don't realise just the sort of things that local councils look after. In my team as divisional manager, asset management, we manage just over $2 billion worth of public infrastructure for the community, and that's a really big task for us that we take pride in making sure that we've got infrastructure that's designed and resilient and safe for our communities. So throughout my career, I started progressing in design and realised that engineering was my passion. I started on various small projects to start with pathway designs and pedestrian treatments, and then progressed up to urban roads and rural roads as I became more developed in my skill set, and then moved on to designing roundabouts, intersection treatments, and various other public infrastructure such as boat ramps and streetscape upgrades. And I've had a very rewarding and wide career, and pretty much now I'm able to drive along the community which I've been brought up in and see pretty much in every town and suburb things that I've had the pleasure of being involved in. And in design, I can really see the benefits to our community in that infrastructure. also engaged with various different organisations and develop networks throughout engineering in such as IPWEA has been very monumental in my career development. Initially, I was a bit shy as a young engineer and didn't like to get out and do presentations or meet with people. I liked the technical aspect of engineering, but it certainly brought me out of my shell, been presenting at conferences and international conferences. And I've had the honour of many opportunities travelling across Australia to make presentations and really just demonstrate the opportunities that are available in public work engineering, specifically within local government. One of the things that early on, when I was a designer, we were assigned with different mentors to go through and with our development. And I was really picking up aspects of different people and different skill sets and being able to hone that for your own, what you want for your own career and taking the best of what you see. And I was able to really tap into those mentors and I really appreciated the opportunities that I was given, which in 2012, I had the opportunity to commence a degree of a Bachelor of Engineering Technology to start with. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna go for this. And then a cadetship opportunity came up, and I took that at our council, and able to study while I was working. But I was also a father at the time, so it was there's a lot of challenges around trying to get the work-life balance right, as many you'd probably know or start to experience or understand is just making sure you do have that balance right. And for me, working at the local council at IPWEA certainly gave me that opportunity with avenues to do study and have rostered days off and spend with my family, but also make connections with the community. So as I went along, I went into project management for a few years and delivered some streetscape upgrades and roundabout treatments. This one here on the screen here at Narooma, if anyone knows, we're on the south coast of New South Wales. It was a $4.6 million project. And it was really getting involved at the community level, doing workshops with a sunset committee with local business people and community groups to deliver that project on the ground, as well as working with our construction crews and learning a lot along the way. And I think that's one of the key aspects that I've had experience with at councils and it's those learning opportunities that are available in working in local government. It can be wide ranging. We've got opportunities in water and sewer, in development engineering, design, transport, road safety, asset management, and the list goes on. As you get more regional or remote with the council that you're working with, you tend to be a jack of all trades in sort of rural and remote councils. There may be one or two engineers and you look after a whole range of things. But as you move towards the more regional and then metro councils, you may be very specialised in what you do. I've been lucky to get the best of both worlds in a regional council. Obviously, the scale of things we do is quite significant, but we still have that breadth and depth of projects that we work on. I then took up the opportunity to be a full-time design officer at council. Let's go back to this one, and was able to then further my career in more complex but rewarding projects where delivering road safety upgrades, delivering intersection improvements, designing roundabouts, and a whole breadth of different projects and experience that I'm happy to discuss and share with you in any of the questions. As I mentioned before, one of the key aspects I think that local government and public works engineering enables you is to get that work-life balance correct. And that's very important. I found as I've become older, looking back, no longer a young engineer anymore. I'm actually about to turn 40 this year, and I think looking back on it, it's those connections you make with your work colleagues and your friends and work outside of life that your career doesn't define you. You need to create connections and have those support networks, such as through IPWEA and with other other things. I've been a member of the social club here at our local council, done heaps of different events. Had the opportunity to be involved with Unearthing Leaders program that our council offers, first as a participant, but then as a mentor. And it certainly is an honour to see people develop. I've also been a mentor myself with various design officers and young engineers. It's certainly privileged looking at James and watching his career development. It's a very much an honour to see him flourish in the engineering field and all the things that he's got to look forward to and that he is achieving. So I'll just now talk on some of the projects that I've worked on and go into a bit more detail around that. One of the ones that I was quite proud of is one of the intersection upgrades at Tomakin, George Bass Drive on the south coast. So previously we had a sort of T intersection, and there was a very high casualty and serious injuries that had been historically occurring in that location. Plus, as traffic continued to increase in our area, the current intersection treatment became less and less appropriate. We actually were able to get funding to install a roundabout, and I was involved in the design of that roundabout, plus all the connecting pathways and other infrastructure works, which then led on to a wider road safety upgrade for the whole of the Tomakin Road, which I'll discuss a little bit later. But being involved in that detailed design was rather complex. It took a lot of time in the background, working with local stakeholders, plus also our construction crews, to make sure that project was delivered both efficiently, but also provided important road safety improvements, efficiency improvements, resilience improvements, and other key aspects for our road network. One of the things that we've experienced since 2019, 2020, and we're probably not alone with this, certainly much of south coast of New South Wales and New South Wales and Australia in general is the just sheer amount of natural disasters and the increased frequencies of those disasters that have impacted us. The Eurobodalla was severely impacted by the 2019, 2020 bushfires, plus I think it's now 13 declared flood events. Following on from those fires, which has devastated our community, left parts of our community isolated, and where we've had to work to rebuild a lot of our infrastructure. Since 2019, 2020, our council, I think it's about $46.9 million of infrastructure restoration works we've undertaken, with another $10 million in works left to go. One of the projects that I was fortunate to be involved with was a alternate route around a landslip on one of our rural roads. So this had left our community isolated, and under the natural disaster recovery arrangements, councils can get funding through other levels of government to fix infrastructure for like. So pretty much what they offer is, you can't improve the infrastructure, you can't better it, but you can replace it in the current condition it was in. This formed challenging with this landslide, where we were able to potentially fix up that landslide, but we had the assessment and the geotechnical studies showing that the surrounding areas were also at risk of failure, and putting people in that space, fixing it up, would be severely risky to both their personal safety, plus also the future sustainability and resilience of the road. So we advocated strongly to other levels of government for a better solution. The cost to fix up the landslide in its current condition was going to be about $5 million, where the cost to do a full detour around the site was just over $3 million. But they weren't part of the current rules at the time. So with advocacy to various politicians and various people within Transport for New South Wales and the like, we were able to make them see the benefit and get past that red tape and that bureaucracy, where we were able to proceed with this project, which was a much more resilient and safe outcome for our workers, but also the community in the long term. So I guess that's leading into that space where at the time I was the transport and stormwater engineer. That's James's role now, but I had a passion to move into sort of management and more advocacy and strategic planning in our transport and public assets. One of the things that has been important for me in my career is finding ways to be a decisive leader, but you've also got to make sure your decisions are based on core values. So you can't be wishy-washy in what you do as an engineer, and especially particularly as a manager, and you're expected to make many decisions every day. And what I find is if you make those decisions based on core values, you're often, when you look back, they're going to be the correct decisions because you've got your core values at heart. So some of my core values that I have is safety, quality, integrity, sustainability, resilience, collaboration, and excellence. But at the top of the list for me, and certainly aligned with our council's principles and many other organisations, is safety. And one of the key ones that we work on in the transport network is the safety of not only our people and our workers, but the safety of the community and a safe systems approach. So unfortunately on New South Wales roads, one person is either killed or hospitalised every 50 minutes, and that's just not acceptable. Going forward, we've got a vision towards zero of reducing those fatalities and serious injuries, and that involves not only just looking at who was at fault in a crash, which was the previous sort of approach, and trying to look at behaviour, but it's looking at what can we do as a system and a systems approach to making improvements. And that includes safe roads, safe speeds, safe people, and safe vehicles. And we have a role to play in all of those in local government. But one particular thing we can focus on is safe roads and creating a safe road environment where people may make small mistakes, but they don't get penalised for those small mistakes on the road network. Another thing that I'll touch on is moving from working on individual projects, which as a project engineer, that's what you look at. But as a manager, you've got to look more holistically and try to look at network-wide improvements and aligning multiple project objectives. Often there's funding available for road safety, or it might be for capital upgrades or renewals, but they often don't align with one another. And we've got a whole suite of just under $100 million worth of capital projects we deliver every year. And it's trying to find where those projects make most sense to deliver efficiently. Sometimes coming up with road safety outcomes, if you tried to progress them singly focused, it would never get done. But often as an engineer, you look, where can we leverage other opportunities to maximise the output for our community and the benefit of a particular project? This one project in mind was a realignment of a road that had a series of bends with a serious crash history. And basically we're realigning that to a straight alignment, improving the intersection upgrades, improving public active transport connections, your shared pathways, your lighting, and your general alignment. But what that created was a whole heap of cut. So in our earthworks, we had an imbalance where we'll, to get this safe road alignment, we're creating a whole heap of material. Historically, that may have been placed in a stockpile somewhere and maybe used later, or worst case, taken to landfill. But in the new way of looking at things that we try to do here at council is where can we recycle that material to get other benefits across the network? So in this one site, I think that material was taken to 5 other locations where we identified road safety upgrades for widened shoulders, flatter batters, and the like, where we could utilise that material. So it was that pre-planning in place that's such a critical aspect of my job, and trying to find those opportunities to leverage what we do every day, but get better outcomes and maximise value add to the decisions that I make. This is one of the sites where we'd previously identified there were some hazards next to a rural road. There was not much shoulders on the road. They had serious high risk for the community, but identifying that and not having the money to do anything about it, often we're resource constrained in local government, and you have to be innovative and come up with solutions to these problems, but we're able to recycle that material to provide a benefit rather than just getting rid of material. Also, one of the aspects I try to look at is thinking network wide rather than individual sites. So previously, there's a lot of black spot funding opportunities where they'll fix up a curve, but what happens is sort of transfer it to the next site. What I try to think about now is holistically and route based, trying to get a consistent safety standard for different key routes. That includes wide shoulders, wide centerline treatments, safer batters, better line marking and delineation that's consistent and self-explaining for the driver. So in summing up, I guess what I'd say is there's many opportunities in local government and rewarding careers in public works. You can live and work in the location that you like, and you can actually have real benefits to the communities that you work in, and you can see those improvements. Some other jobs that you might not see that for 10, 15 years, but here it's pretty much you'll do a project 1 year, you'll do the design, investigations, planning, and the next year you'll be delivering that and you'll be seeing the outcomes. It's a very fast-paced environment, but it's very rewarding. You're able to develop those skills with a lot of different experts and professionals along the way, and you can work in those regional areas. So my question to everyone here is, where will your career take you? I guess the sky's the limit, and never say never, because I guess with my career, I've made a change and I've been quite successful. I've had a rewarding career, pivoting what I wanted to do, and this is my passion. I love what I do, and I love what we do for the community. So I'll take any questions at the end. Thanks.
So what I might do is just firstly thank Tom for that great oversight of all the excellent projects he's been working on and the responsibilities he's got. If anyone thinks of any questions they want to type in, we'll drop them into the chat and we'll address them at the end of this session. Just to move along, our next guest speaker is John Anderson, who's joining us from New South Wales Public Works rather than local government, to give you a bit of a balance between local and state government opportunities. John's a civil engineer with over 30 years experience leading diverse teams and managing numerous high-profile projects in the United Kingdom, Australia and the Middle East, while employed by leading international project management organisations. John's a fellow of IPWEA, with nearly 20 years experience in the public service in both state and local government, and is responsible for leading complex multidisciplinary teams across all stages of infrastructure, asset lifecycle, delivering a portfolio of engineering projects ranging in size up to 250 million. He leads a team of 60 professional project and construction managers who are based in various locations across the Illawarra and Shoalhaven, the South East region of New South Wales, and has received significant recognition and awards for his role in leading complex infrastructure in regional settings. So John, I pass the floor over to you.
Thank you, Peter. I'll just get the share screen happening for everybody. Just bear with me a second. So welcome. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. Let's go full slide. Hopefully you can get the full screen. So thank you for that introduction, Peter. As you said, 30 years has certainly flown by for me. Cannot believe it's taken so long, but I thought I'd give you a quick introduction to some of the regional infrastructure we've delivered here in Public Works, primarily in the South Coast region, which is the region I look after. I'm the director for the whole of Public Works South Coast. So I range all the way from Sydney down to Victoria. So as you can see, we are geographically located across pretty much every town that you can see listed on the map. We delivered over $5 billion worth of infrastructure. It still blows my mind it was that large last financial year, but we responded pretty much after the bushfires that we had in 2019, 2020, then went straight into 2 years of flood recovery. So that has certainly lifted the amount of work we have had to manage in the last few years. And we, as I said, 1,900 projects delivered. So to give you a bit of a view of that, I won't go through projects all over the state, but just some in the diversity of projects we deliver. What does Public Works deliver? We are a project management entity, construction management entity, primarily delivering infrastructure for state and local government agencies. And we also provide that engineering emergency management response in natural disasters. And we also provide advisory, engineering design, and asset management services as well. And as you can see listed there, 23 service lines. I'm certainly not going to go through all of those today. The history, just a little bit of background. You think about iconic infrastructure in New South Wales, the Harbour Bridge, the Opera House. We used to be a Department of Public Works, and that has obviously changed over many years from when we had some 15, 20,000 staff doing all the physical construction work itself. We've now moved into more of an advisory engineering project management service line, rather than actually engaging with the contractors to do the work, rather than doing the work ourselves with public servants. Our relationships with local government are very strong. The dark green, as you can see on this map, is a strong to very strong, excellent relationship that we have with those councils in regional New South Wales. You can see,
John, sorry to interrupt, but I think you might be sharing the wrong screen. So on my view, I can only see the front page, the regional infrastructure.
can you see the map?
No.
Which bit are you looking at? Sorry.
Just
at the moment,
overview of the blue screen regional infrastructure. There's it's got the outer border of the whole PowerPoint. It doesn't actually zero into the individual slides.
How's that one? Got the map?
No, still not yet.
1 second. How's that?
Yes,
that's we got the map now. Excellent, thank you.
Excellent. So let me just go back to a couple of little screens. So I'll skip that about the service lines, but the history of the Public Works, as I mentioned, is very extensive through obviously the early days of building all the major public works infrastructure across the whole of New South Wales. The regional relationship map, as I mentioned, with local councils, we have a fantastic relationship with all regional councils in New South Wales. Still building relationships in the light blue with a few that sometimes have a ebb and flow of their project pipeline. It's not always constant building in regional New South Wales, but in terms of the types of projects that we do for state and local government agencies, here's a few that I will just flick through quite quickly, as there's quite a lot of just project examples. So landslips, similar to what Eurobadalla's encountered, there's been plenty of project failure up and down the dividing range, and responding to those in a timely manner has been something that has been a focus of ours probably now for the last at least 5 years. Some larger projects, $85 million for Wollongong Council. We've provided project management support to Wollongong on this large road connector that connects, as you can see in the distance, the land release or future land releases of West Dapto and further south. Having flood-free access in and out of that area was essential for the council. Working on things like coastal headlands, Crown land, very sensitive sites for Aboriginal communities, delivering obviously the improvements to the facility. Major projects, including special activation precincts, which the government is now investing hundreds of millions of dollars in 4 locations, in Parks, Moree, in Wagga Wagga, and in the Snowy region. So we are involved in the delivery of those major infrastructure assets. More failure, not a great project for a council, sadly, but this again, through more landslips and wet weather events, creates significant challenges to certain road infrastructure. So we have been sort of brought in by Transport for New South Wales to assist them in the rectification of this section of road. Working with Aboriginal communities, here delivering just a replacement bridge that got washed away. Was an old dilapidated bridge, required significant work in a remote location. Also, that whole area was really badly damaged in the 2020 bushfires. Further landslips, Shoalhaven landslips, some 100 landslip sites across the Shoalhaven. We're assisting them with about 45 of those sites, you can see the soil nails that are being put in and sort of in a finished section of one of the slip sites. So just as an example of more landslip work. Bridges, a lot of work's happened in the bridges. Forestry had a lot of timber bridges that they had lost in the bushfires, so they've now asked us to help them replace some 15 of them. This was one of the trenches and just one of the locations that we delivered probably last year. You'll love this photo. For those of you that want to see bad engineering, you'll see here there's clearly what is an effort to be a bridge underwater there, crossing the Murrumbidgee River, just south of the ACT. The state government's now going to be replacing that structure, if you want to call it a structure, with a new bridge, which is quite a challenging site. Particularly with lots of interested people in the community wanting to know all about how we're going to go about doing this project over the Murrumbidgee. Some coastal projects, just very quickly, new breakwaters and new harbour walls. These projects, this one's in Kiama, delivered with, again, funding that was given to council. Again, jetties, there's plenty of those that Public Works has built over the last probably 150 years, when they were certainly the old hardwood style engineered timber bridges and timber jetties and wharfs. And so there's certainly a lot of dilapidation there that needs to be restored. So just a little selection of that type of technology and how it's moved into more modern design. Regional sort of community facilities, I like to call them, school buildings. The school burnt down. This is the replacement structure. So following the fires, the state then moved to its insurance policies and rebuilt this school $8 million industrial arts facility here in the Illawarra. A sporting facility for Shoalhaven. This was a large $16.5 million major refurb and the conversion into a regional sports precinct for the Shoalhaven, based there in Bomaderry. That's recently just been officially opened. Heritage work, again, always a sensitive issue for Public Works. We have a whole range of stonemasons and other skilled tradesmen that still work for Public Works within our agency. This was I suppose, an adaptive reuse of an old bathers pavilion. It's a few years old now. And in the more modern setting for Eurobodalla, the $60 million bay pavilions, combined aquatic centre and performing arts space. A fantastic project. For those young at heart, or certainly of age, certainly the more frequent of the sort of skate parks, a fantastic bit of engineering to be done on those. Certainly very valuable to the community. In the environment and waste space, waste transfer stations, we've built many of those in recent years. Complex underground fires, please do not go trying to burn out the tree stump of a tree where it has been planted on historical coal wash. You're likely to start a combustion process that is very expensive to put out. The only way was to excavate this out, and very challenging both in terms of site access and environmental conditions. Some damage to a landfill cell that was then having to be restored, but landfill cells was something that we've built quite a number of in the last few years, probably in the order of about 10 landfill cells. And another waste transfer station up in the Snowy Mountains. Aboriginal land cleanup, post the bushfires, lots of damage, lots of debris, lots of asbestos. That's been an ongoing body of work we've been doing now for 3 years, and continues to surprise us with the amount of work and the complexity of working in those environments. The forte of Public Works, water and wastewater. This is a river pump station that we constructed for Eurobodalla, which actually feeds water to an off-river dam that's currently under construction in Eurobodalla for $130 million, which is a fantastic project, a collaboration between Public Works and Eurobodalla Shire Council. Cannot commend you enough if you get a chance to go and look at a project like this. They're not built every year, so certainly worth a Guernsey if you get a chance to go and visit any of those types of sites. One that was more recently done a few years ago, which is in the Cooma area in Nimitabel. the completion of one of the first dams built in New South Wales in something close to 20 years. So they're pretty rare, but certainly something that are fantastic to work on. Water treatment plants, certainly the flavour of the last few years for Bega Valley Shire Council. We've assisted them. They've been a sort of a blended team of their resources and ours. And that's been, again, one of the, I think, 4 in total that they've had constructed in the last couple of years. Recycled water, reservoirs, pump stations, more sewage treatment plants, more reservoirs, and a very interesting and complex site, a directional underbore to, as you can imagine, very sensitive environmental space in a natural inlet. We've done a couple of these. They're specialist contractors that are required to do these types of works. And just a little bit of update for some of you that aren't involved yet in your career with the surveying and spatial services. Certainly the progression of modern technology has certainly made a huge change in the way that the surveyors actually work nowadays, with drones, with LiDAR, and a whole range of photogrammetry techniques. As an example, we went to the Wollongong cenotaph, as you can see in this image, and did a full 3D scan of the site, generating a 3D model of the cenotaph itself. And then you can really zoom in on these. The absolute quality is phenomenal. And from an archival perspective, if this was ever to be damaged, it can certainly be rebuilt. And from maintenance perspective, it's easy to naturally understand the maintenance requirements of a structure. And you can zoom around this, zoom in and out, rotate it, twist it, do what you need to, and get practically as built down to the millimetre. It is phenomenal new technology. Again, sophisticated surveying techniques with 3D models being created using, this is a outlet pipe for one of the dams. And as you can see, it's a complex bit of surveying that's needing to be done to turn it into a 3D model. And then in the GIS space, mapping floods, this is Menindee, getting all the GIS location data attributes put into online portals and mapping, making sure that your dams in your assets are very stable. Precision monitoring is something that we have done for many, many years, but slightly different to perhaps what you think is a traditional surveyor's role. 3D models of Tomic and STP. Again, these are not photographs. These are 3D models that have been done based on scans. So we're certainly finding that the progression of things like the BIM modelling for asset management in the building space has definitely moved well and truly into 3D design in the civil space, and having all of that ability to be able to see and navigate your way through a project in the design before you build it, something we're actually going to put at the IPWEA New South Wales conference. One of our guys will be turning up to that event to demonstrate some of that. So if any of you are lucky enough to go to the conference in the Hunter Valley, certainly commend you to go and have put on the 3D goggles and play around with it. More GIS issues for mapping floods in the recent floods, the Northern Rivers. So here's a map. You can see quite clearly identifying all of the properties that registered that they were impacted by flooding. And again, producing GIS portal data for similar things in drainage mitigation, levees, XYZ. So certainly it has moved into that space. And yeah, certainly a introduction to some of the projects we've been delivering. So I hope that was beneficial.
Thanks so very much for that, John. That was an incredible range of projects that were just put on display, and it really kind of captures the broad range that public works engineers do work on. So in terms of the formality of the speakers for this session, we've now had our last speaker. There's a Q&A at the bottom of your screen here at the moment. A few of those questions have been answered at the moment already. We've provided some input for that. What we would really encourage all of the attendees to do is to have a look out for our next session that we would like to go into some more detail, likely in March, but probably about a month from now. And consider, obviously, getting some further information from the IPWEA website. understanding a little bit more about public works engineers in general and how we benefit our communities, and gain some perspective on career paths that you two could follow. So just to recap all of our speakers today, so obviously James Thompson, transport engineer from Eurobodalla Shire Council. We've got Tom, who's his leader in that group, Tom Franzen, and John Anderson from Public Works. Just a very sincere thank you to all of them for providing that time here today. And what we might do is we'll just hang out on the session for another 5 minutes or so. And if you've got any questions that come to you that you'd like answered, or any thoughts that you've got towards our next session in particular, but I'll also just pass it on to James to have a bit of a wrap up as well of any other key points he'd like to address. James, over to you.
Thanks, Peter. I'll just get this kind of last slide up. There we go. So I guess, yeah, similar to what Peter said, thank you all for attending today. I hope you all enjoyed the session, but more importantly, I hope everyone that's attended now has a basic understanding of what public works engineering is all about. As mentioned, we're looking to try and hold another 2 sessions. And what we've thought so far is to have each session themed a certain way. So this first session was themed to provide a bit of an overview. And we were thinking that the next session themed to talk about the pathways into public works engineering. I know there was a question about cadetships, so that's one avenue. And then thinking the last session to have a look at what can an actual career in public works look like. Often what you find as well is people start off in public works, and as they get more experience and more specialised, they then transition over to the private industry. And adversely, there's also some people that have been in local government a long time, and the influence they have and the influence on the community they have can be significant. The other thing as well is these sessions are not set in stone. And as Peter mentioned, if there's anything particularly you'd like us to have a look at, feel free to put that in the chat. And we're also thinking that as part of this, we'll send out a bit of a survey monkey at the end of this to see how we could improve the session, or if there's a particular kind of times, dates that we'd like that you'd like us to consider facilitating in the future. We'd also like to draw your attentions to the IPWEA website, and specifically the project spotlights. One of the initiatives out of the committee is for early career professionals, especially uni students that might not be aware of what public works engineering is about. We're looking at creating a bit of a database on public works projects. You can find them on the IPWEA website under the resources tab. Lastly, we also have the state conference coming up. I mentioned before that it was probably one of the best things that I ever did whilst being an engineer or studying to be an engineer, and I'd highly suggest that anyone has the ability to attend that conference. We're having a look at options at the moment to see if we can get people involved to attend. Potentially we'll be running some of those initiatives at the next session, just some thoughts. But yeah, to wrap it all up, I guess thank you all for attending here today, especially thanks to Thomas, Peter and John, as well as the behind the scenes team for it as well. Lastly, thank you all to all the university students that have attended, as well as any staff, faculty, and I'd also like to, I guess, leave it at that. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me personally or any member of the committee. And yeah, hopefully all found it very insightful and enjoyable.
Thanks very much for that, James. Just also to do the attendees today have a contact email address that they can forward any information or questions to?
Probably not. The best thing to do if you would like, if it relates to cadets, is if you go on the IPWEA New South Wales website and you go to the Young IPWEA page, has my contact details, as well as Tatiana's, who's the deputy chair. Any questions relating to, I guess, young engineers or the role of IPWEA in facilitating that, feel free to reach out directly to me by email. I'll put my own email in the chat here as well, for those that.
And I'll just go on to say that this has been a fantastic initiative by Young IPWEA and everyone attending today. There's a few behind the scenes too, as well as Josh and Paige and everyone that's contributed to these sessions that may not have been able to be here with us today. It is really important for local government to obviously provide that insight into what we do, how we do it and how you guys can connect in. I think it's always been a challenge in the academic field to know what options exist for people out there and young people. As I mentioned before, we do network across the councils. The state conferences are really good at bringing those ideas together. And when we successfully deliver projects, we often showcase them as well. And that starts a whole new range of questions and information and learning sessions. We contribute to a lot. We're really, really passionate about our communities. And I'm sure that as you progress on your own journeys as well, you'll start to consider where you might fit and if local and state government may have a role for you as well. I know that many councils right now are calling out for design development engineers in particular. I know our council certainly is. We've got programs that lead to cadetships as well that many councils are duplicating. But again, thanks very much all for your attendance in this session. If you've got any follow-up questions that you'd like to throw our way, James just shared his details on screen, and we'll certainly be looking to come and attend a university near you guys shortly, all going well. So thanks again for your time. Feel free to stick around for a few minutes. We'll hang around if there's any questions that you might want to throw up in the chat. But really, really appreciate your time today. And yeah, let us know if this time slot suits you, or if you'd much prefer a time that's maybe in the evening perhaps as well. We're very aware that UD students get very busy very quickly, so we want to be respectful to you and your time as much as the panelists here today. So that's the end of the formalities. Like I said, we'll just stick around the chat for a few minutes and answer any questions you've got, but really appreciate your attendance today. And like I said before, please bring a few friends to the next one. Let them know that there's some good things you learned here today, and we'll flesh these sessions out to be larger time and time again. So thank you very much. I'm just going to mute my camera and we'll just stick around for the chat. Thanks for all who attended.
Thanks for that, Peter. There is one question there about our railway infrastructure. Not entirely sure if IPWEA has a lot to do with rail infrastructure. Definitely comes under the more planning, the planning side of transport network planning. I'm in my own job at IPWEA. We're in a position where we don't actually have, I think we're the one of the only councils without any rail infrastructure down the coast. So my experience from a local government perspective has been fairly minimal. However, when I was working with the Australian Roads Research Board, they were undertaking a merger with ACRI, which was the Australasian Centre for Rail Innovation. So had a fair bit to do with rail then, especially down in Victoria. And I know it's a major issue. So I imagine that IPWEA does have quite some involvement with rail infrastructure, but it's not something that I'm personally across. Maybe if there's anyone else in attendance here that has this experience working in local government with rail, please feel free to I guess share. That might be a better question, maybe directed towards my email. I can forward that on to the most appropriate person.
Yeah, James, just quickly on that, obviously it is controlled by the state in sort of Transport for New South Wales, but also the ARTC. It's a very specific area of transportation that's definitely regulations and pre-accredited requirements, but we all interface with it when a bridge goes over it or we want to go under it. But certainly, no, I think local government on the whole, as my understanding, tends not to get too involved with the asset itself.
You're on mute, Tom, if you're talking to us.
Yeah, sorry. Just confirming that with John. Obviously, in IPWEA, we don't have much to do with rail infrastructure, but my colleagues at other councils, I know their involvement is normally around sort of the level crossings and how the interface with the road network is and making sure that's safe. And there's a lot of approvals and requirements they need to go through with that. And it's definitely a specialised field.
I think it's been raised here as well. Another pathway that is often in short supply as well as our very, very important asset managers looking after portfolios of many millions of dollars worth of government-owned assets, everything from roads and drainage, landfill cells, water and sewer. The list goes on. Everything that you see built in your community that's dedicated to council to look after is one of our assets. So again, there's many different pathways that can be considered. So the best thing to do is always consider reaching out for a chat, getting some information relating to your particular interest, And if there's some people in your local area that that we can reach out to, that we've got contact information for, we're certainly happy to pass that along. But seek.com.au probably has a few things on it too with cadetships, but we'll have more information as these sessions go on. So yeah, thanks very much, everyone. I'll pass it over to James to wrap up.
I think we might end the session there. Once again, thank you for all those that attended. My contact details on the website. As I said, you're more than welcome to contact me anytime, or you can direct questions straight to IPWEA New South Wales. Anyway, thank you all again for attending today, and look forward to future initiatives or workshops we get to have. Thank you
Thanks
all.
very much, all. Have a great day.